Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Earthship, UES Defiance. The metal floor beneath his boots felt cold, even through his uniform. Around him, his crew worked at their stations, checking screens and pushing buttons. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of computers and the occasional beep of equipment. Then everything changed. A bright light filled the main screen. Jake raised his hand to shield his eyes. The light faded, and a face appeared. It was not human. The creature had gray skin that looked like old leather. Its eyes were black and large with no white parts. When it opened its mouth, Jake could see rows of sharp teeth. "I am High Commander Vexthul of the Zolarian Empire," the creature said. Its voice was deep and cold. "You will listen to my words." Jake felt his heart beating faster. This was humanity's first contact with aliens, and it did not seem friendly. He looked at his communications officer, a young woman named Kate Sullivan. She was recording everything. "Your species has spread beyond your home world," Vexthul continued. "You have built colonies on other planets. You have ships that travel between the stars. This is not allowed." The alien's black eyes seemed to stare directly at Jake through the screen. "The space you call home belongs to the Zolarian Empire. It has been ours for 3,000 of your years. You are trespassing." Jake's hands formed fists at his sides. 3,000 years. That was longer than recorded human history. How could these aliens claim ownership of space humanity had never seen them in? "You have 7 of your solar cycles to surrender," Vexthul said. "You will give up all your ships. You will abandon your colonies. You will return to your home world and wait for our arrival. Then you will serve the Empire as all inferior species." "Do." The word inferior hit Jake like a punch to the stomach. Around him, his crew members looked at each other with wide eyes. Some looked scared, others looked angry. "If you refuse," the alien continued, "we will destroy you. All of you. Your ships, your colonies, your home world. We will turn your star into a dead thing. Nothing will remain of your species except dust floating in empty space." The transmission ended. The screen went black. The bridge was silent for a long moment. "Sir," Kate said, her voice shaking slightly. "Should I send a response?" Jake stared at the empty screen. 7 days. 7 days to decide between slavery and death. "Not yet," he said. "First, we need to talk to Earth." Back on Earth, President Lisa Chang sat in the emergency meeting room deep beneath the White House. The room had no windows, only bright lights and white walls. Around the long table sat the most important people in human government and military. General Kevin Brooks, head of Earth's military forces, slammed his hand on the table. "We can't surrender to these things," he said. "Humans don't bow to anyone. And humans don't commit suicide either," said Ambassador Helen Torres. She was Earth's top diplomat, a woman who had spent her life solving problems with words instead of weapons. "We need to try talking to them first." "Talk?" General Brooks laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Did you hear what that thing said? They want us to be their slaves." Dr. Marcus Webb, Earth's best scientist for studying alien life, looked up from his tablet. "I've been analyzing their transmission," he said. "The technology they use to contact us is far beyond anything we have. If they can reach us across space like this, their other technology is probably just as advanced." President Chang felt a heavy weight in her chest. "How advanced?" "Advanced enough to do what they threatened," Dr. Webb said quietly. "I believe they really can destroy stars." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. If these Zolarians could destroy stars, they could destroy anything. "What about our fleet?" President Chang asked. General Brooks looked down at his papers. "We have 200 ships," he said. "Most of them are for exploring space, not fighting wars. We have maybe 50 ships that could fight, and they're spread across 12 colonies. And the aliens? We don't know for sure, but..." General Brooks paused. "From what we can tell, they control thousands of worlds. Their fleet could be in the millions." President Chang closed her eyes. Millions of alien ships against 50 human, ships. It was not a fight humanity could win. In space, Captain Ryan Cole received new orders on his ship, the UES Patriot. He was to take his small crew and scout the nearby star systems. Earth needed to know more about these Zolarians. Ryan was a good captain, but his ship was built for carrying cargo, not fighting wars. Still, he had volunteered for this mission. Someone had to go, and he was not the type of man to let others take all the risks. His first stop was a system called Kepler 442. It had once been home to a species called the Valdari. The human colony ship Horizon had visited this system 2 years ago and found ruins of an old civilization. Now Ryan knew what had happened to the Valdari. What he found in the Kepler 442 system made his blood run cold. Where there should have been planets, there was only broken rock floating in space. The star itself looked wrong, dim and flickering, like a candle about to go out. "Captain," said his science officer, a young man named Mike Chen, "the star is dying. Someone made it age 1,000 years in just a few hours." Ryan stared at the dying star. This was what the Zolarians did to species that said no. They did not just kill people. They killed entire solar systems. "Send a message to Earth," Ryan said. "Tell them what we found here." As the days passed, more reports came in from human scouts. System after system showed the same thing: dead stars, broken planets, and no sign of life. The Zolarians had been busy for a very long time. On Earth, President Chang read report after report. Each one was worse than the last. The aliens were not making empty threats. They had the power to destroy stars, and they had used it many times. With 2 days left until the deadline, she called another meeting. This time, representatives from all the human colonies joined by video link. Faces from Mars, Europa, Titan, and the outer colonies looked back at her from screens around the room. "We have a choice to make," President Chang said. "Submit to the aliens or fight a war we cannot win." "There's a third choice," said a voice from one of the screens. It was Mayor Danny Rogers from the mining colony on Ceres. "We can make them pay a price they don't expect." "What do you mean?" President Chang asked. "These aliens think we're weak," Danny said. "They think we'll roll over and give up. Maybe we can't win, but we can show them that humans don't go quietly." General Brooks nodded slowly. "Hit and run attacks. Make them work for every victory." "It would still be suicide," Ambassador Torres said. "Maybe," said Danny Rogers. "But it would be suicide on our terms." President Chang looked around the room at all the faces, both in person and on screens. She saw fear, but she also saw something else. She saw determination. She saw people who would rather die free than live as slaves. The choice was made. 7 days before the Zolarian deadline, President Lisa Chang stood before the cameras. Behind her were flags from every human colony and nation on Earth. The room was packed with reporters, military officers, and government officials from around the world. The alien message had demanded an answer, and now humanity would give one. "People of Earth and all human colonies," President Chang began. Her voice was steady and strong. "We have received a demand from the Zolarian Empire. They want us to surrender everything we have built. They want us to become their slaves." She paused and looked directly into the camera. "Here is our answer." The transmission went out on every frequency humans could reach. It traveled to every Zolarian ship listening in human space. 2 simple words that would change everything. "Come and take it." The message reached the Zolarian fleet commander within hours. War Commander Zekmor read the translation 3 times before he believed it. No species had ever refused the Empire's demands, not in 3,000 years. Back on Earth, the real work began. Engineer Kate Sullivan had not slept in 2 days. She stood in the shipyard above Earth, looking at civilian ships that would soon become weapons of war. Cargo haulers, mining vessels, passenger transports. None of them were built for fighting, but they were all humanity had. "We need to make these ships dangerous," she told her team of engineers. "Mining lasers can become weapons. Cargo holds can carry fighters. Everything has to change." Her workers spread out across the shipyard. They cut metal, ran new cables, and installed whatever weapons they could build or find. A passenger ship that once carried families to Mars was getting armor plating and missile launchers. A mining ship was having its rock-cutting tools turned into ship-killing beams. On the colony world New Pittsburgh, factory worker Mike Chen was learning to be a soldier. The colony was built around heavy industry, factories that made tools and machines for other colonies. Now those same factories were making weapons and bombs. The aliens think big, Mike told the group of volunteers around him. Big ships, big fleets, big threats. But sometimes small things can hurt big things if you know where to hit them. Mike had worked in demolition before coming to New Pittsburgh. He knew how to make things explode. Now he was teaching others. They built small bombs that could stick to alien ships. They made traps that looked like debris but were really mines. They learned how to make the aliens pay for every victory. Meanwhile, on the research station orbiting Jupiter, Dr. Rachel Stone was making an important discovery. She had been studying the data from destroyed star systems, looking for patterns in how the Zalarians killed stars. They can't just point at any star and make it die, she told her research team. The star has to be the right type, the right age, the right size, and they need special equipment to do it. This was the first good news anyone had heard in days. The aliens were powerful, but they had limits. Captain Ryan Cole was still out in space, scouting Zalarian movements. His cargo ship UES Patriot was not built for spying, but it was all Earth had. He watched alien scout ships moving through human space, counting them and learning their patterns. They're not in any hurry, he told his crew. They think this will be easy. They're not even trying to hide from us. His science officer, Mike Chen, looked up from his sensors. Should we attack them? Ryan thought about it. His ship had some weapons. Now thanks to Kate Sullivan's modifications. But attacking would tell the aliens that humans were ready to fight. Maybe it was better to let them think humans were still scared and confused. Not yet, Ryan decided. Let them think we're helpless. A little longer. On Earth, General Kevin Brooks was turning the entire solar system into a fortress. Every asteroid with people on it got weapons. Every space station became a military base. Even the moon was covered with missile launchers and defense shields. 3. Aliens will come here eventually, he told his officers. When they do, we'll make them fight for every mile of space. His people worked around the clock. Soldiers who had never fought in space learned how to use new weapons. Civilians who had never held guns learned how to shoot. Everyone knew that when the aliens came, there would be nowhere to run. Colonel Danny Rogers was on Ceres, the largest asteroid in the belt between Mars and Jupiter. The mining colony there was perfect for his plans. The asteroids had tunnels and caves where people could hide. The mining equipment could be turned into weapons. We're going to disappear, he told the miners. When the aliens come looking for us, they'll find empty rocks, but we'll be here waiting in the dark. The miners liked this plan. They knew the asteroid belt better than anyone. They could move through the rocks like fish through water. The aliens would never find them all. Dr. Amy Foster was working on the most dangerous project of all. Her team had found pieces of Zalarian technology from old crashes and encounters. Most of it was too advanced for humans to understand, but some pieces could be copied. Their computers think differently than ours, she explained to her team. But if we can learn how they work, we might be able to confuse them or shut them down. It was slow work and very risky. Zalarian technology could explode or release poison gas if handled wrong, but every small discovery could save human lives. Later, all across human space, people were making the same choice. They could not win a fair fight against the Zalarian Empire, so they would not fight fair. They would hide, strike from shadows, and make the aliens pay for every victory. Admiral Jake Morrison coordinated all of these preparations from his ship. Reports came in from every colony and every military unit. Some were good, some were bad, but all showed the same thing. Humanity was getting ready to fight. How long do we have? He asked his intelligence officer. Zalarian scout fleets are already at the edge of our space, came the reply. Main fleets will arrive in 3 days. 3 days to finish all their preparations. 3 days before the most powerful empire in the galaxy learned what happened when they picked a fight with humans. On the outer colony of New Eden, Captain Ashley Parker watched her sensors. The colony was small and far from Earth, which made it a likely target for the first Zalarian attack. Her ships were ready, hidden among the asteroids and powered down to look like space junk. "Let them come," she told her pilots. "We'll show them how humans welcome uninvited guests." As the deadline approached, every human in space knew what was coming. The Zalarians expected to find a frightened species ready to surrender. Instead, they would find something they had never encountered before, a species that would rather burn than bow. The trap was set. The weapons were ready. All that remained was to see if human courage and cleverness could overcome alien numbers and technology. In a few hours, the galaxy would have its answer. The first Zalarian ships arrived at Proxima Station exactly when their deadline ended. War Commander Zekmor expected to find humans waiting with white flags and surrender messages. Instead, his sensors detected something that confused him. The station looked empty. No ships moved around it, no communications came from it. But the station's lights were still on and its systems were still running. "Send a patrol to investigate," Zekmor ordered his officers. "These humans are probably hiding in fear." A Zalarian destroyer moved toward the station. Its captain was confident. The ship had weapons that could destroy a city and shields that could stop anything humans might throw at it. What could a mining station do against such power? Captain Ryan Cole watched the alien ship approach from inside the asteroid field. His cargo ship, UES Patriot, looked like a piece of space junk drifting between the rocks. The modifications Kate Sullivan had made were hidden inside the hull where alien sensors could not see them. "Are the other ships ready?" Ryan asked quietly. His communications officer nodded. "All 4 ships are in position. Mining ship Hammer is behind the big asteroid. Fighter pilot Jack Peters is ready in his modified shuttle. Captain Sandra Bell has her freighter disguised as debris." Ryan smiled grimly. The aliens thought they were hunting one scared cargo ship. They had no idea they were flying into a trap. The Zalarian destroyer entered the asteroid field slowly. Its captain was being careful now, worried about hitting the floating rocks. This was exactly what Ryan had hoped for. "Now," Ryan whispered into his radio. 4 human ships powered up at the same time. The mining ship Hammer came out from behind its asteroid, its rock-cutting laser aimed at the alien destroyer. Jack Peters' shuttle dove from above, firing missiles that had been built in a factory just days ago. Sandra Bell's freighter launched a cloud of small fighters that swarmed around the Zalarian ship like angry bees. The alien captain was so surprised he almost forgot to fire back. His ship's weapons were powerful, but they were designed to fight other big ships, not tiny fighters that moved like insects. He tried to turn his ship around, but the asteroids blocked his path. Ryan's cargo ship hit the destroyer from behind with its hidden weapons. The alien shields flashed and sparked, then failed completely. The destroyer tried to send a distress signal, but Mike Chen had been ready for that. He jammed their communications with equipment he had built from salvaged alien technology. The battle lasted only 10 minutes. When it was over, the Zalarian destroyer was floating dead in space, its hull cracked open like an egg. Human fighters flew around it, making sure it could not repair itself. "1 down," Ryan said into his radio. "How many thousand more to go?" Back with the main Zalarian fleet, War Commander Zekmor stared at his screens in disbelief. His destroyer had simply vanished. No explosion, no final message, nothing. One moment it was there, the next moment it was gone. "Send 2 more ships," he ordered, "and tell them to be ready for anything." But being ready was not enough. The second group of Zalarian ships ran into Captain Ashley Parker's trap near the New Eden colony. She had hidden her small fleet inside a gas cloud that confused alien sensors. When the enemy ships flew into the cloud looking for the colony, human fighters attacked from all directions at once. The Zalarians found themselves fighting an enemy they could not understand. Human ships were smaller and weaker, but they moved in ways that made no sense. They worked together like a single organism, each ship covering for the others. When one ship was damaged, another would immediately take its place. Even more confusing was how humans fought. Zalarian military training taught that damaged ships should retreat to be repaired. But human ships that were too damaged to fight would ram into alien vessels using their own destruction as a weapon. Captain Parker's flagship took a direct hit that knocked out half its systems. Instead of retreating, she ordered her ship to ram the largest Zalarian cruiser. The impact destroyed both ships, but it also created an opening for the other human vessels to escape. Dr. Amy Foster watched the battles from her research station and realized something important. "They're not learning," she told her team. "The aliens fight the same way every time. They can't adapt to new situations." She was right. The Zalarian Empire had conquered so many worlds that their military had become lazy. They always used the same tactics because those tactics always worked. But humans were different from any enemy they had faced before. On Earth, Admiral Jake Morrison received reports from all the battle sites. The news was both good and bad. Humans were winning individual fights, but they were losing ships and people they could not replace. The aliens had thousands of ships for everyone they lost. "We need to make every victory count," he told his staff. "Every alien ship we destroy is one less ship attacking our colonies." General Kevin Brooks was preparing Earth's defenses when he got an idea. "What if we don't just wait for them to attack us?" he asked. "What if we go after their command ships?" It was a crazy plan. Human ships were not fast enough or strong enough to fight Zalarian command vessels, but Colonel Danny Rogers had an idea that might work. "The mining ships," he said. "They're built to survive in dangerous places, and they're full of equipment that could be turned into weapons." Within hours, a plan was forming. A small group of human ships would pretend to be running away from a battle. They would lead the aliens into an asteroid field where mining ships waited in ambush. The miners knew every rock and hiding place in the belt. They could disappear and reappear like ghosts. Captain Cole volunteered to be the bait. His ship, UES, Patriot, had survived the first battle and was famous now among both humans and aliens. The Zalarians wanted to destroy it to make an example. "I'll make them chase me," Ryan told Admiral Morrison. "When they follow me into the belt, Danny's people will be waiting." The plan worked perfectly. A Zalarian battle group followed Ryan's ship into the asteroid belt, expecting an easy kill. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by dozens of mining ships that appeared from behind rocks and debris. The mining ships used their industrial equipment as weapons. Rock-cutting lasers sliced through alien hulls. Ore haulers dropped explosive charges like bombs. Construction mechs grabbed onto enemy ships and tore them apart with giant metal hands. War Commander Zek Moore lost 12 ships in the asteroid belt. Ambush. For the first time in his career, he began to feel something he had never experienced before: doubt. "These humans fight like demons," he told his officers. "They care nothing for their own lives." What he did not understand was that humans cared very much for their lives. They just cared more for their freedom. Every human who died fighting the aliens was choosing to die free rather than live as a slave. The word of human victories spread quickly through both fleets. Human morale went up, while Zalarian confidence began to crack. The mighty empire that had never known defeat was learning what it felt like to lose. But the real test was still coming. The main Zalarian fleet was almost ready to attack Earth itself. Soon humanity would face its greatest challenge yet. News of human victories traveled faster than the fastest ships. Across the galaxy, on worlds conquered long ago by the Zalarian Empire, people began to whisper. The whispers said that somewhere, a small species called humans had fought the Empire and won. On the factory world of Kepler 442b, an alien slave named Vorth heard the whispers. He had been working in the metal mines for 20 years, ever since the Zalarians destroyed his home world. Like all slaves, he had given up hope long ago. But now something stirred in his chest that he had almost forgotten. Hope. A human prisoner named Frank Miller worked beside Vorth in the mines. Frank had been captured when his exploration ship was destroyed 6 months ago. Unlike the other slaves, Frank had not given up. He still talked about freedom and fighting back. "You heard the news?" Frank whispered to Vorth as they loaded ore into carts. "My people are beating the Empire. Ship after ship. Vorth looked around carefully to make sure no guards were listening. How is this possible? The Empire has never lost before. Frank smiled. Because we don't fight like everyone else. We don't follow their rules. That night in the slave barracks, Frank gathered a small group around him. There were aliens from 6 different worlds, all conquered by the Empire at different times. Frank showed them things he had learned from secret messages hidden in supply shipments. The Zalarians control everything through fear, Frank explained. But if we stop being afraid, they lose their power. He taught them how to make simple weapons, from mining tools. He showed them how to disable the security cameras without being noticed. Most importantly, he taught them that they outnumbered their guards 100 to 1. We can't win by ourselves, Frank said. But we can make the Empire fight on 2 fronts. While they're busy with Earth, we hit them from behind. Meanwhile, the Empire was sending its most dangerous weapon to crush the human rebellion. Supreme War Marshal Thexkar was the greatest military leader in Zalarian history. He had conquered more worlds than any other commander. He had never lost a single battle. His fleet was enormous. 10,000 ships of war, including planet killers, that could destroy entire worlds. The ships were crewed by the Empire's best soldiers and carried weapons that had never been defeated. These humans have been lucky, Thexkar told his officers as his fleet moved toward Earth. But luck ends when it meets superior force. Captain Ryan Cole watched the massive enemy fleet approach through his ship's sensors. The UES Patriot was hiding in the outer edge of the solar system, one of many human ships watching for the Zalarian arrival. What he saw made his blood run cold. Admiral Morrison needs to see this, Ryan told his crew. He sent the sensor data back to Earth along with his report. Sir, they have more ships than we thought possible. 10,000 at least, maybe more. Back on Earth, Admiral Jake Morrison studied the reports with growing concern. His own fleet had grown to 300 ships, but they were still mostly converted civilian vessels. Against 10,000 Zalarian warships, they would last maybe an hour. We need a new plan, he told General Kevin Brooks. Everything we've done so far won't work against a fleet this big. Dr. Rachel Stone had been working on the problem for weeks. Her research into Zalarian star-killing technology had revealed something important about their largest ships. The planet killers are powerful but slow, she explained to the military leaders. And they need time to charge their weapons. If we can hit them before they're ready, we might have a chance. Engineer Kate Sullivan had an idea that was either brilliant or completely insane. What if we don't try to fight their whole fleet at once? What if we make them split up? Her plan was risky. Human ships would spread across the solar system and attack different targets at the same time. The aliens would have to divide their forces to respond to all the threats. It might give humanity a fighting chance. General Brooks began moving his forces into position. Ships hid behind planets and moons. Others disguised themselves as space debris in the asteroid belt. The entire solar system became a giant trap waiting to spring. On the mining colony Ceres, Colonel Danny Rogers was preparing his own surprise. His miners had been working day and night to hollow out large asteroids and fill them with explosives. When the Zalarian fleet entered the asteroid belt, they would get a very hot welcome. Remember, Danny told his people, we only get one chance. At this, make it count. Dr. Amy Foster was aboard the research station near Jupiter with equipment that might change everything. She had finally cracked the code of Zalarian computer systems. If her plan worked, she could disrupt their communications right when the battle started. Their ships talk to each other constantly, she explained to her team. If we can jam those signals, they'll be fighting blind. Supreme War Marshal Thexkar entered the solar system expecting to find scattered human forces trying to hide. Instead, his sensors detected something impossible. Human ships were everywhere, spread throughout the system in positions that made no tactical sense. What are they doing? He asked his tactical officer. This formation is madness. They're too spread out to support each other. What he did not understand was that humans were not trying to fight one big battle. They were preparing to fight a dozen small battles all at the same time. The first attack came from Captain Ashley Parker's squadron, hidden behind Mars. They struck at the Zalarian supply ships at the rear of the fleet, destroying fuel and ammunition that would be needed for the coming battle. Before Thexkar could respond to that attack, another human force hit his scouts near Jupiter. Then another group attacked from the asteroid belt. Then fighters launched from hidden bases on Earth's moon. "They're everywhere," his communications officer reported. "We're getting attack reports from 6 different locations." For the first time in his long career, Thexkar felt confused. Every military manual said that smaller forces should concentrate their strength, not spread it out. But humans seemed to be doing everything wrong and somehow making it work. Dr. Foster chose that moment to activate her computer virus. Zalarian ships across the fleet suddenly found their communication systems failing. Orders could not be sent. Status reports could not be received. Ships that had worked together for centuries were suddenly alone. The confusion gave human forces the opening they needed. Ryan Cole led a squadron of fast ships in a direct attack on one of the planet killers. The massive alien ship was powerful enough to destroy Earth, but it was too slow to defend itself against small, fast attackers. "Hit the weapon ports," Ryan ordered his pilots. "Don't let it charge its main gun." Human fighters swarmed around the giant ship like insects around a giant beast. Their weapons were tiny compared to the planet killer's massive hull, but they aimed for weak spots that Kate Sullivan had identified from captured alien blueprints. The planet killer's main weapon began to glow as it charged up to fire at Earth. But before it could complete the charging sequence, human fighters destroyed the power relays feeding the weapon. The glow faded and died. All across the solar system, similar battles were taking place. Human forces were too small to destroy the Zalarian fleet, but they were causing chaos and confusion. Ships that should have been working together were scattered and alone. Supreme War Marshal Thexkar tried to restore order to his fleet, but the humans had turned his own size against him. With 10,000 ships spread across an entire solar system, he could not coordinate them all at once. "Pull back," he finally ordered. "Reform the fleet beyond the orbit of Pluto." It was the first time in his career that Thexkar had ordered a retreat. As his ships pulled back to regroup, he realized that these humans were unlike any enemy he had ever faced. They did not fight to win battles. They fought to make victory too expensive to achieve. But the war was far from over. Earth still faced destruction, and humanity's tricks could only work for so long against such overwhelming force. Admiral Jake Morrison knew that humanity had only one chance left. Supreme War Marshal Thexkar was regrouping his massive fleet beyond Pluto, and soon he would return with a plan to crush all human resistance. The time for defensive fighting was over. "We're going to attack them first," Jake told his officers aboard the flagship UES Liberty. The ship was humanity's newest and most powerful vessel, built with technology stolen from destroyed Zalarian ships and powered by the hope of every human in the galaxy. The plan was called Operation Prometheus, named after the ancient god who stole fire from the heavens. Humanity would take the fight directly to the Zalarian home system, striking at the heart of the Empire while their main fleet was far away attacking Earth. Captain Ryan Cole had volunteered to lead the advance force. His ship UES Patriot had become famous throughout human space as the vessel that won the first victory against the aliens. Now it would help win the last battle. "Are you sure about this?" Ryan asked Admiral Morrison over the communication link. "If we fail, Earth will be defenseless." "If we don't try," Jake replied, "Earth will be destroyed anyway. At least this way, we go down fighting." The human fleet that jumped to hyperspace was unlike anything that had ever existed. There were warships built from mining vessels, fighters converted from racing shuttles, and weapons created from farming tools. Every ship was crewed by volunteers who knew they probably would not return home. But humanity was no longer fighting alone. As the human fleet traveled through space, they received messages from across the galaxy. On world after world, slave populations were rising up against their Zalarian masters. Frank Miller's rebellion on Kepler 442b had inspired others. The factory workers of Vega 7 had seized their production facilities. The miners of Centauri B had taken control of their orbital stations. The message was spreading faster than any fleet could travel. The Empire was not invincible. Dr. Rachel Stone was aboard the UES Liberty with the most dangerous weapon humanity had ever created. She had reverse-engineered the Zalarian star-killing technology, but instead of using it to destroy stars, she had found a way to make them burn brighter. "When we activate this," she told Admiral Morrison, "every star in Zalarian space will flare up at the same time. It won't hurt anyone. But the light will be visible from every world in the Empire. It will be a signal that humanity has won." The Zalarian home system was the most heavily defended place in the galaxy. Thousands of orbital platforms surrounded the planet where the Empire's rulers lived. Defense fleets patrolled every approach. No enemy had ever even attempted to attack this system. Captain Ashley Parker led the first wave of human fighters into the outer defenses. Her squadron was outnumbered 1,000 to 1, but they had learned to use that as an advantage. The Zalarian defenders were so numerous that they got in each other's way trying to target the fast-moving human ships, just like shooting fish in a barrel, Ashley told her pilots as they weaved between the massive alien defense platforms. "Except we're the fish, and there are a lot more barrels than we expected." Her fighters carried special bombs designed by Mike Chen's demolition teams. Each bomb was small enough to be carried by a single fighter, but powerful enough to destroy a defense station. The key was getting close enough to plant them. Colonel Danny Rogers was leading the ground assault team. While the space battle raged above, his soldiers were landing on the Zalarian homeworld itself. Their mission was to capture the planetary communication center and broadcast humanity's message to every world in the Empire. "Remember," Danny told his troops as their dropships descended through the alien atmosphere, "we're not here to conquer this world. We're here to send a message that will free every world." The Zalarian planetary defenses had never been tested against a real attack. For 3,000 years, the Empire had been so powerful that no one dared to threaten their homeworld. The defense systems were more for show than for actual fighting. Human soldiers hit the ground running. They moved through the alien city, like ghosts, avoiding the main military forces and heading straight for their target. The Zalarians had never faced enemies who fought like this, soldiers who cared more about completing their mission than about staying alive. Engineer Kate Sullivan was with the assault team, carrying the equipment needed to hack into the Zalarian communication network. Her job was to override their systems and broadcast Dr. Stone's signal to every planet in the Empire. "How long do you need?" Danny asked her as his soldiers fought off Zalarian guards outside the communication center. "Give me 5 minutes," Kate replied, her hands flying over the alien control panels. "Maybe 10 if their security is better than I thought." Meanwhile, in space above the planet, Captain Cole was leading the final assault on the Zalarian command center. The building was protected by energy shields and automated weapons, but human fighters had learned to work together like a single organism. "All ships concentrate fire on the shield generators," Ryan ordered. "We only need to bring them down for a few seconds." The human fleet poured all their firepower into the Zalarian shields. For a moment that seemed to last forever, energy weapons met energy barriers in a display of light that could be seen from orbit. Then suddenly, the shields failed. Dr. Amy Foster was ready with the computer virus she had been perfecting for months. As soon as the shields dropped, she transmitted her program directly into the Zalarian command computers. Within seconds, the virus was spreading through their entire network. "It's working," Amy reported. "Their whole system is shutting down." At the same moment, Kate Sullivan completed her work at the communication center. "Broadcasting now," she announced over the radio. "The signal is going out to every world in the Empire." Dr. Stone activated her stellar weapon from aboard the UES Liberty. Across the galaxy, every star in Zalarian space suddenly blazed with new light. The increase was small, but it was visible from every planet, every ship, every outpost in the Empire. On Kepler 442b, Frank Miller and his fellow rebels saw the stars grow brighter and knew what it meant. "The humans did it," he told the crowd, of freed slaves around him. "The Empire is finished." The same scene was repeated on thousands of worlds. Slaves saw the blazing stars and threw off their chains. Soldiers saw the light and laid down their weapons. Governors saw the brightness and fled their palaces. But the most important audience was Supreme War Marshal Thex Carr, still regrouping his fleet beyond Pluto. He watched his homeworld's defenses fail, watched his communication network shut down, watched the very stars themselves become symbols of human defiance. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Zalarian Empire faced something it had never encountered before: the complete loss of control. The psychological foundation of their power was broken. They ruled through fear, but the blazing stars showed that they were not the masters of the galaxy. Thexkar's officers looked at him, waiting for orders. But what orders could he give? His homeworld was captured, his communication systems were down, and rebellions were breaking out everywhere. "Sir?" his tactical officer asked. "What are your orders?" Thexkar stared at the blazing stars for a long moment. Then, for the first time in his career, he spoke the words no Zalarian commander had ever said: "We surrender." The message went out from his flagship to every Zalarian ship in the galaxy. The empire that had ruled for 3 millennia was finished, brought down not by superior force, but by a small species that refused to accept defeat. On Earth, President Lisa Chang received the surrender message with tears in her eyes. Humanity had not just survived, they had freed the galaxy. Admiral Morrison's voice came over the communication system to every human ship and colony. "People of Earth and all free worlds, the war is over. We have won not just our freedom, but freedom for everyone." The stars continued to burn brighter than they ever had before, a permanent reminder that even the mightiest empire could fall when people refused to bow. Humanity had set the stars ablaze, and the light of freedom would shine forever across the galaxy.